So today I want to talk about Dan Patrick's report about the Big Ten's possible return to play. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Dan Patrick's tweet and what he has said about the possible return of the Big 12. First, shout out to my man Jared Deck, who hooked me up with the swag. I got the signed autograph of his album in the living room. I'm going to give it a spin. Now, we've had such a tremendous day of news as it relates to college football in general, but really the Big Ten. We started off this Tuesday morning with Letterman Rowe's report that the White House had made contact with Kevin Warren. And in that contact that took place Monday night, they set up a conference call for Tuesday, for which many of you have seen the president's tweet about being on the 1 yard line for the Big Ten to return to play this fall. Now, there have been various reports from college football insiders, from Stuart Mandel, from Pete Thamel to Bruce Feldman, and on it goes about where we stand with the Big Ten and its return to college football, whether it be this fall or in the winter. And then around 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, we have news that Oklahoma named Spencer Rattler the starting quarterback. Rattler is going to succeed in the line that was started by Baker Mayfield, went to Kyler Murray, went to Jalen Hurts, and now is expected to be as good, if not better, than all three of those quarterbacks who all were Heisman Trophy finalists, two Heisman winners, two number one overall draft picks. And while that was probably the mildest piece of news to happen today, we also got the SEC dropping its schedule on us on CBS, for which we find out Alabama at LSU is going to take place the same day that the Masters is going to take place. For folks in the South, this is going to be an early Christmas, but that also is just a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. And that is when we thought over the weekend the Big Ten might return to play for football. That would mean that you would probably get to see some of the draft eligible and top players in college football, because you can make an argument that they could get 3-4 weeks in to play. And on the RJ Young Show live at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, I want to unpack what I think is a really great plan for how the Big 12 could get started in October to play college football and finish in time for a Big Ten championship game to take place in December, and possibly the winner to be included in the college football playoff selection for the semifinal games. But then, around 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, we got news from Dan Patrick that they are looking to start this thing up at October 10th, which feels just around the corner and doesn't feel like it's impossible. However, Pete Thamel dug into this, and what he found was, while Trump had reached out and he wanted to put before them this idea that he could come up with so many more tests, it felt to them like he was using the Big Ten to try to win the states of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan as he tries to win re-election in a year for which most pollsters think that he's losing. Don't know, right? Point there is, it felt like the Big Ten was being used as the political tool here, especially when you take into account that the Pac-12 has not heard from President Trump in relation to getting them to play football in the fall. So this feels a little bit more nefarious, but also there's a lot of moving parts here. The first of which is the team doctors won't sign off on this. And if the team doctors won't sign off on it, even if the university presidents will, you still got a problem where you'd have to find some new doctors and some moving and shaking in that way. You also have the logistics of your kids. Are they on campus? Are they not on campus? Are they willing to play? Are they willing to opt out? This is going to be a tremendous discussion as we move forward, because as we get closer to the kickoff of the season for the Power 5 teams, which is next week, it feels like the Big Ten, the Pac-12 are going to be left behind. While the Pac-12 seems to be working from the standpoint of this is not okay, but we are going to proceed without actually trying to play fall football, you have the Big Ten that seems to not even have made up its mind, even after it looked like we had so much data to show that they had made up their mind, at least in some way. And this has become a referendum on Kevin Warren, which I don't think is fair, which I don't think is fun. But I also recognize that people have to be able to manifest their anger in some direction. And while university presidents aren't as publicly visible as Kevin Warren, that's where I believe your real anger should be devoted to those 14 folks, in particular the 11 that did not want to play football for safety reasons. And even if you're making what I think is a good decision, you still have to stand in the face of people who don't agree with you, because that's just the way that this is. This is kind of like this growing pandemic on Twitter where we have these highfalutin accounts that want to say who and who cannot actually tag them in a tweet and a reply. Look, I get called everything from the N-word to awesome on the tweets, and I believe that everybody deserves the same opportunity to get blocked, to show their behind at least once, and then you move on. But to just say that you're not going to deal with somebody replying back to you is weak, if nothing else. But to this idea that Dan Patrick's floating out there, Patrick is also the first guy to tell us that there was a vote and what the vote was, right? Patrick is also not in the business of throwing out what he does not know. That said, he is in radio. And as a person of radio, I try to get at least two sources before I run with something. And there are so many rumors and so many little infinitesimal details that I get that help me form my opinion and decide what topics to discuss with you on this show. But to throw something out there like the Big Ten is looking to try to get college football back on October 10th is a big deal. And I hope he got this one right, because we live in an age that is just wild. Like, I'm going to do another big segment on the RJ Young Show live about Messi and Alabama and Clemson and how those things work together. But the point there is the only thing more absurd than college football news is soccer news. And the rumors and the insular nature of how we go about accumulating this knowledge and how little these coaches and these commissioners want to share with us only leads us to telling the stories that we want to be told. We want to proliferate those things that make us feel good as opposed to go with those things that are grounded in fact. And making a show that is built around college football while also talking about how other sports interconnect with it and the overlap of race and politics is one of the reasons that I love my job, but it's also one of the reasons that my job is difficult. Because to navigate these things is also to say things like, yeah, it's possible that the Big Ten can return for October 10th to start its season. It's not likely, though. And it's not likely because it's not as simple as reconvening, holding a vote, getting to that 60% majority that you have to have in the Big Ten to carry a proposal, and then turning the kids back on. However, that's part of it, and that's a big part of it. And if anything, what they have going for them on their side in this particular argument of trying to get back to college football in the fall is that there are a number of people that want it to happen, which makes it way easier to pull off if that's what you want to do. I just don't think that's what the 14 university presidents want to do, or at least what the majority of them want to do, which means that this is dead in the water until they do. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.